We'll have to do a special on that sometime because somebody somewhere is funding these people.
Yeah.
They have to be. They have to be.
Yeah, we know who it is, don't we?
Well, we know who it is, yeah. I mean, it's governments or Soros or the rest of them, isn't it?
Yeah, got it.
Okay, we are going to have a discussion about the election. And it's going to be in 3 parts. And the first part is called The Exodus. Doesn't that sound really, really serious? The Exodus.
It sounds biblical and not that serious.
I know. Well, it's nice to have the both of you here. I'm sounding a little bit nasally because I've been ill, gentlemen. All right, that's what I was expecting. But a bit of a delayed reaction.
You get no sympathy on this, gang. You should know that.
Yeah, no. I know that.
Man up.
Well, yeah.
You know what you need? A good stint in our army.
Yeah.
For a year or 2.
Yes, in Sunak's army, where you can choose to either be in it or not.
And it's mandatory.
Yeah. Or not. We don't know because we can't work out the policy. But there you have it. Okay. Yes. Now, what I was referring to in the Exodus is the exodus of MPs that are leaving and not standing at this election.
Bye.
By the way, there's still MPs, until the 30th, until Parliament is dissolved.
Should dissolve it in a pan of boiling water, if you ask me.
You are definite 16th century material. I bet you'd bring back
boiling oil.
I bet you would bring back the Spanish Inquisition, wouldn't you, sir?
I would, and the comfy chair. They get the lot.
There was never a comfy chair when you were being interviewed by the Inquisition.
In the comfy chair, and they'd be tickled until they spoke, they talk, and they gave up every secret they knew.
Wouldn't happen. Right. Question. Why are so many... There you go.
He's off already.
A bit of a simple...
Why are so many what?
Why are so many MPs standing down at the election? Because I have to tell you, it's mostly, the majority of them are Conservative MPs. It's over 100 of them standing down, about 120, something like that. And others are defecting. They've been infected by what's gone on, so they're defecting. After being...
And they're ugly as well.
They were defecting because they were defective. Anyway, more than about 75 of them are Conservatives. So what's your view on that? Go ahead, Mark.
It may look more extreme than it is. I mean, normally it's an average of around, pardon me, about 70 or 80 in a normal election.
You haven't got a cough, have you? You're not getting any sympathy off me for doing that.
I don't want
You never gave me any sympathy then when I coughed.
You're not getting any.
Well, I'll tell you what, there's only 3 of us. It's a good job there's not 4 because we don't want any 4 coughs, do we?
Go ahead, Mark.
No, it's roughly about 70 or 80 per election, but when there's a change of government on the horizon, it normally is quite high. I think 2010, it was around 150. So it's probably about average. But what I'm liking is the fact it's going to be some of these people who've quite frankly been useless or actually counterproductive, or the ones who are responsible for the failure we're witnessing. So it's good to see the back of some of these establishment types, especially like the Goves and the Mays, Sort of.
And the Bradys. Graham Brady's going as well.
Yeah, see you later. In an ideal world, they'd all go, but, it's not, is it?
Well, they're going out there before they get called up or they get made accountable for what they've been up to. They're not. They're off, and off they go. Same as my leader from Warrington North, the great Rusty Nail.
Yes, your little leader.
He is a little leader, and he's gone away into the sunset. And terrible.
Yeah,
they're not accountable.
I was just about to say there'll be no accountability, will there, again?
It's not uncommon for MPs to stand down at elections. It's happened in the past. And it's happened with whatever the outgoing government is. If it was a Conservative, it was mostly Conservative MPs that were going. And that happened. Same with Labour. when they were in, when they went, it was mostly Labour MPs that stood down. What I'm trying to work out is it guilt? Is it because they feel that there is no way forward with the current party? Or is it because they are just that disgusted with everything that's gone on? They just don't feel it's worth their time or effort. Go ahead, Mark.
It's probably a mixture, really, isn't it? You've probably got some of them who have been there for quite a while now, and obviously they're useless. So there's no use for them.
It's a whopping payoff because the money's been increased for their severance payments, and also a whopping big pension. That's why they're on the way. And as you know, I mean, I've got a vested interest in this particular election. I have what's known as a dog in the fight. That does sound nice, actually. I mean, I've actually got skin in the game, as I should say. And have you noticed that the Tories are actually struggling to fill the seats?
Yeah.
We're not. Reform or not. We've got 630. Na, 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 na. And the Tories...
childish.
The Tories are about 180 short at the minute. And I've not heard anything about my neck of the woods, Warrington South and North. I've heard nothing yet about the any candidates being announced for Conservatives.
Do you think it might have had anything to do with the boundary changes as well? Just
no, because we've not. We've moved slightly. We've moved. I mean, not much at all. I mean, Warrington North, where I'm standing, has got 10 wards, and Warrington South have got 12 wards.
Well, that's not very equal, because the boundary commission was supposed to be... Actually, they were only basing their decision on the number of people, weren't they? Constituents.
Yeah, I mean, they've taken it from around about 70,000, haven't they? And they've taken it now. And they're also supposedly reducing the amount of MPs, but that's not come about. So they've actually moved it to average it out at 74,000. So that means that's an extra 4,000 per constituency, which means that my incumbent can actually ignore an extra 4,000 people. How good's that?
Well,
he already ignores 70,000, so an extra 4,000 not going to upset her at all, is it?
Well, we're going to talk about boundary changes in the third part, but for Sunak right now, it isn't going to help him. In the past, boundary changes have favoured the Conservatives, but right now it isn't. And I'm wondering, I'm wondering if John Curtis is right, because he made a statement. He said either there's going to have to be a massive swing towards the Conservatives in this election, or all the pollsters have got it wrong. It's as simple as that. And I don't think the pollsters have got it wrong. I don't think they have at all. And I don't think the bookies have got it wrong either. Go ahead, Mark.
No. I think he's going to need a medical. I don't even reckon Superman or the A-Team can save Rishi Sunak, or whatever he called him. Rashid Sunak. Yeah. Honestly, he's lost, isn't he?
Shanuk. I think what he's got to do with the boundary changes, he's got to make about 4 in total. Boundaries I'm on about. That's the only way he might have a chance of a 50-50 if there's only 4 constituencies in the whole of the country.
Maybe in England, Wales, Northern Ireland, Scotland.
Yeah, that's about it. That's the only way he's going to win.
I mean, the other thing about the MPs that are standing down is there has to be an analysis of whether they were just like dropped in, parachuted in, whether they've got a personal vote, with the constituents, because sometimes the constituents won't bother, to vote in, say, I don't know, Conservative councillors, because they think that they're stupid, but they've got a personal vote for the MP. That's going to cause a problem for Sunak, because people like Graham Brady and Theresa May and people like that, they're going to leave a big gap, and it'll be a personal vote that kept them in and kept them afloat in those areas.
Yeah, I agree with that. Because some MPs are actually okay, they do work for their constituencies. And unfortunately, on about parachuting people in, she come in something like, I'd say she come in one of these top planes, a Lancaster bomber.
Who's she? The cat's mother? Come on. Who's she?
Sorry, my incumbent. She came over on a Lancaster bomber when she was parachuted in with about 40 other thousand of them all around the north.
I bet you are looking forward to the dissolution of Parliament, sir. You know, because at that point, on the 30th, she is no longer an MP. She is fair game.
I'll just won't bother biting on that maggot, sir.
It wasn't a maggot. That was a whopper of a herring, that one. Go ahead. Go ahead, Mark.
You know what, you made a good point about, the MPs who've been there for a while and lots of people vote for them because of who they are. I wonder if, and I think it's probably impossible to actually factor this into the polls, because I reckon it might actually be a lot worse than the polls are suggesting then. Because imagine if, you vote for your MP who's been there, I don't know, 15, 20 years or whatever, and then you're just like, forget it, I don't know who this guy is, I'm not going to bother.
Yeah.
That could be a big factor in it, actually, that no one's really thinking about.
Because if
there are some MPs who are leaving after doing the 4 years. So that tells me they're not happy.
Because if they parachute somebody in that has absolutely no connection to the constituency whatsoever, they've never lived there, they haven't worked there, then that's going to be a problem for Sunak.
Oh, that's a bit like my incumbent.
You said you weren't going to bite on that herring.
No, sorry. Can't think it.
It's too late now.
When you keep going on about the polls, I mean, I'm a bit confused over this because the Latvians,
it's nothing to do with it.
They've got some good ideas as well. And the Romanians, they're not bad at.
Hey, not so. Nothing to do with that.
So I don't listen. I don't know why you keep listening to the polls, because there's plenty of countries out there that can give us some good ideas.
Well, what can we say? What can we say? Why have so many of the MPs stood down? Trevor, you think the basis is financial, you said in the beginning, because there is an incentive for them to stand down. I've got a funny feeling that, they are just so disillusioned. They've had enough. And they just cannot be bothered anymore. They've done it. They've seen it. They've had the T-shirt. They've had the shares in the companies. Time to go. Mark,
and you've got the likes of Gove, who is certainly very prominent in the party, and he's left it to the last minute.
Yep.
Now, if that's not a stab in the back, another stab in the back, he's good at that. He's done it with quite a few of them, because he's never made Prime Minister. And if that's not a stab in the back to Richie, I don't know what is.
Well, okay.
I reckon it's just a mixture, really. It's about what it was in 2010, so... I think they know the writing's on the wall, and it's a convenient opportunity, isn't it, to leg it? Get a payoff.
As you chaps know, that I am an absolute anorak at these elections. I love them.
Yeah, I'm calling it. Go on. I'm going to let you finish.
Yeah, I love seeing the big names fall. What's known as a Portillo moment.
Portillo moment.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. I really do. And
you are going to see that.
Oh, you're going to see it at some stage. Either Richie or that lot's going to go. Someone's going to go, one of the big names, which is going to be brilliant. I love that. I just love that.
Wouldn't it be brilliant if Ed Davey was one of those big names that disappeared?
Oh, yeah. And you've got like Mr. Binhead and the rest of the Raving Loony party that has stood next to him.
Yes.
I absolutely love that.
Okay, well, that is it for the first part. Mark, you just feel that they're fed up. They've had enough. Yeah?
Yeah, it's going to be a bit of a mixed bag.
Well,
but yeah, I think quite a few of them have had enough. And so have we, so good riddance.
Well, I think the smaller parties are going to suffer. I really do think. And the Greens, well, I hope there is another extinction. An ice age extinction of the Greens. Had enough of those people.
Yeah, as I've always said, my mother's always told me to eat my greens, and that's what I do.
Yes, and let's all give peas a chance.
Exactly.
Oh dear.
And no doubt I will have the same person standing against me from the Greens this year. And she calls me rotten. I've never, ever insulted that lady in my life.
Oh dear.
Till tonight.
I was going to say, do you want me to do it?
Yep.